Hello again and welcome to Shed Talk, my weekly magazine video series looking at the keeping, breeding and showing of cage birds with a special focus on the exhibition style budgerigar. Well, first of all, I would like to say a big thank you to all those of you who clicked the like button. We did manage to hit 30 likes really quite quickly on the last video. I said I wouldn't mind getting up to 30 likes on the video. I think the last time I checked, and we're only about 3 days into that video being published, it's on 34 likes. So big thumbs up and a big thank you to all those of you who liked the video. Let's see if we can do it again. Let's see if we can get to the 30 likes on this video as well. And talking about this particular episode, we've got a update on the budgerigar breeders. So we'll go around all the breeding cages as usual and look at what we've got in each of those cages. The other thing we're going to do while we're doing that is I did have another question come in from one of the subscribers, and that was to look at, well, we asked a question about how often I clean the nest boxes out. And so I thought what I'd do is talk a little bit about the way I, in my shed, carry out my nest box management at the various stages, I suppose, of the breeding cycle for the budgerigars. So we will look at that towards the end of the video. As always, if you do enjoy the video, don't forget to hit the like button. As I say, it would be good if we can get back up to the 30 again. Please do comment on anything you see, and do keep the questions coming in. They're always quite useful in terms of helping me to focus the videos on what you might like to hear from me each episode, and what you might like to hear from me. And of course, if you're not yet a subscriber, please do hit the subscribe. If I've got that right now, somewhere down there, somewhere I think it is, or maybe over that way a little bit. Cool. The camera should always put things the opposite way round. I feel a little bit like a weather person trying to dictate where the weather is. It always looks a bit awkward. Anyway, enough of that. As I say, do subscribe to the channel. And what we'll do now then is we will get on and have a look at the various breeding cages from 1 to 6. So pair 1 is the dominant pied that we got from off of Mr. Terry Sadler, that we crossed to a cinnamon light green of our own, or of my own. And in the first round, relatively successful. We got a good number of full eggs. I think we had 3 eventually make it to the perch, of which 2 of those, when we did the assessment, look all right actually to me. They look like they will probably be kept for next year, depending on what we might get from future rounds. They were all cockbirds, which was a little bit disappointing. So we will need to see how those other 2 develop. The third was all right, but I don't think it's going to be as good as its 2 siblings. This pair is now on its second round, and so far we've got a total of 3 eggs that were full. 2 of those have hatched and are being fed successfully. The third egg didn't hatch at all. In this nest, you might remember from the last episode I mentioned it, one of the chicks has got splayed legs. I did say I wasn't quite sure why. It may well have been that there wasn't quite enough nest material in the nest box when it first hatched. The other chick is fine, so and the first round we didn't have any problems with splayed legs. I do sometimes wonder, and let me know your thoughts on this in the comments, I do sometimes wonder whether some chicks are just more susceptible to it than others, because I don't know, I never seen it. Whenever I've had chicks with splayed legs, I've always said it's the hen sitting too tightly on them, but it's only ever 1 or 2 per nest, or 1 per nest normally, never all the whole nest. So I don't know whether maybe some chicks are naturally more susceptible to it. Anyway, I'm trying to repair that. I'm not sure I'm going to be successful. You can see here in the nest box what I've done. The way I try to do it is I put 2 rings on, so normally the main ring, this year's ring is on it, and a second ring, an old ring on there, and I just put a bit of thread between the two rings and just to hold the legs together. Sometimes this works, sometimes it doesn't. In this case, I don't think it's going to. I think they are too badly splayed. If that's the case, if it's not going to work, what I will do is I'll let this bird, I'll let it come on to maturity. I know some people would say that it would be better off just to euthanize it in the nest box. I'll let it come on to maturity. If it survives, I will put it in the OAP flight. I won't sell it, but it'll go in the OAP flight, and I'll just let it live out its time in there. The other chick, as I say, looks fine and is developing reasonably well. So hopefully that second chick will be as good as the first two that we got off of this pair, or the two possible keepers that we got off of this pair in the first round. I will probably split this pair after this and give the cockbird a rest, and then pop him in later on in the season with one more hen for another round or two. Anyway, that's pair one. Let's have a look at pair two. So in cage two is the second of the birds that we got from Terry Sadler, and is a Lutino. First time I've bred Lutinos. And we paired that to an opaline cinnamon light green that is was a little bit tipped across the top of the head, and we sort of said that we're hoping that the Ino gene will reduce that, and certainly any of the Inos that are produced will not be tipped. In the first round we had one Lutino, which was obviously going to be the hen, and the other two were normal greens, and sorry, we didn't have a Lutino actually, I double checked that, so we actually had an albino. So which means both these birds are going to be split for blue. And the other two were just normal greens and cockbirds. Unfortunately, the albino chick died shortly before. I mean, it was virtually winged, and I had no idea why it just suddenly came in and it was dead on the bottom of the cage. I know some people have said that quite often the red eyes can go blind, and that might cause it. And somebody else said that, the same person said, from their experience, the Inos can be suffer a little bit more from night fright. I do have a nightlight on in here, so there shouldn't be any real reason, but who knows? It may be either of those two. We'll have to wait and see. Anyway, they're on their second round. There were a total of, I'm just double checking, so we got 5 full eggs, of which 4 of those have now hatched. Sorry, actually there are only 4 full eggs. 4 full eggs, laid 6, first one was clear, next 4 were full, last one was clear. So 4 full eggs, of which all 4 of those have hatched. And as you can see from the nest box when we look at it, we've got one of those is a red eye, and therefore is going to be another hen. The others are all normals by the looks of it. They're going to be split for Ino, but they're normal visually, so their phenotype is normal. And so let's hope that this red eye in the nest box is going to make it onto the perch and into the nappy flight and into full maturity. I'm touching wood for that. Again, once this lot of finished breeding, I'm going to split this pair, and we'll again give the cockbird a little bit of a rest, and then we may pop him back in again for one final round towards the end of the breeding season. So both the two birds we got from Terry Sadler have done really well for us in terms of filling eggs. We said they're quite old birds, or older birds, so we were a little bit concerned that they might be just going past it, but they both filled eggs really, really well. So pleased with that. If we can get one more round off with a different hen at the end of the breeding season, all the better. So anyway, that's pair 2. Let's move on now to pair number 3. So taking a look then at pair number 3, this pair is again another outcross cockbird. It's a bird that we got from Rick Watts, and is a opaline sky blue, and we crossed that to a yellow face grey. in the first round they had all clear eggs, and I did think that perhaps the cockbird was getting on a little bit. It's just like the older bird again, a bit like the other two, which is why we put him in the cage quite early on. But the second round they actually had 3 full eggs, so I was really pleased with that. And all 3 of those eggs hatched. But you'll remember from the last episode, we had a little bit of a disaster with the nest in that the hen failed to feed the chicks as they hatched, and I never managed to catch it in time, and the first 2 chicks died. We were left with a dilemma on the 3rd egg that hadn't hatched, and what we were going to do with that, and actually popped it into cage number 5, who were on all clear eggs, but eggs were due to hatch around the same time. It hatched. The pair in that cage fed it, and it's now, as you can see here, now developing reasonably well. So what I've done with this pair now is the cockbird has been removed and is now back in the main flight. Doesn't seem very happy back in the main flight. He's sulking a little bit, I think. And the hen is, I've left the hen in the cage. I'll give it a week. And then we'll put her into the stock cage for about another week or 2 weeks resting there before moving her to the flight. That will free up cage 3. Like I said, I'm trying to be a bit more ruthless and getting birds into there. And there is a couple of hens in the main flight that are, in condition. I've got one hen who's chasing a cockbird around, and the cockbird's not interested in her at the moment. She's chasing them around. And there is another hen who is gnawing quite a lot. And both of those are hens that I wouldn't mind getting down. I just need to double check the age of them, and then what I will then need to do, of course, is particularly with the pair, the hen that's pair bonded in there, I'll need to check whether they're not too closely related and whether they are compatible, so on and so forth. So I really do want to get the hen out of here reasonably quickly. My only concern with this hen is that when I was removing the last of the eggs, she was out of the nest box quite a lot, and the cockbird, I know, was treading her, so it may well be that she will lay again and some of the eggs might be fertile. If that's the case, I may need to rethink this. If I've got another pair that is sat on eggs that they've just laid, then I might move the eggs across into there. But we'll have to wait and see. It might be a nice dilemma to have, I suppose, having more fertile eggs. But either way, I can't let this hen, rear them because she just doesn't feed them. So again, another bit of a dilemma. Anyway, that's cage 3. Hopefully the hen will be moved out of there by the next episode, and we'll be looking to pair up a new pair, and we'll look at that new pair in the next episode as well. So that's pair 3. What about the pair that's in cage number 4, which is actually pair 8, and is the subscribers pair, you may remember. So in cage 4 we've got, I suppose, the subscribers pair. This is the pair that I asked people to choose between a couple of cockbirds and a couple of hens. We've got the sky blue cockbird and a cinnamon, I think it's a light green hen in there. They've been in there probably just over a week and a bit, and so far there's no sign of anything. We had those early signs. You might remember when we first popped them into the show cage to show the pair that we had chosen, there was lots of interaction between the cockbird and the hen. Not a massive amount, but since we put them in there. Hen, I don't think, has been inside the nest box. There's no real sign of that. If I was being honest, I would give these another week and then split them. I wouldn't give them any longer than that. Given my new rule, my New Year's resolution to be quite ruthless on how long I give a pair in a nest box. So, but because they're the pair that we chose together, I'm going to give them probably 3 weeks maximum, and then if they still haven't done anything this time next week, then we'll be thinking about splitting the pair up. If there's no indication this time next week, then we'll split this pair and we'll find another pair out of the main flight, which I say there's a few in there that I want to get down quite quickly. So it's not a problem finding new pairs. but a bit of a shame if we do have to split this pair up. Right, let's move on to pair number 5 then, or cage 5. Sorry, this is actually pair 8. It's in cage 4. Move on to pair number 5, which you may remember has the ring number 1 chick in it. So as we're at cage 5, the actual chicken here is chick number 1, which is off of the pair that we spoke about a little bit earlier, that we split in cage number 3. So I won't talk too much about the pair. This pair will be split as soon as this chick is weaned. And this is the, as I say, the ring number 1. A little bit of a struggle story for this chick in terms of the fact that it was one of 3 eggs. The first 2 eggs hatched, but they weren't fed, and we moved the final egg into here, hoping that the hen in here wouldn't be too freaked out by suddenly having an egg that was chirping or calling. But as we said in the last episode, all went really, really well. It hatched, was fed straight away, so all good there. You can see the chick here in this little clip. I did have a bit of a concern yesterday, and I was beginning to think, oh my god, we're going to have a look at chick number 1 and it's going to be a complete disaster. Yesterday when I checked the nest box, the chick still had its eyes closed, and as you can see, it's quite a big chick, and I was really worried that there was something wrong with its eyes, that it meant that it couldn't actually open its eyelids. So I was panicking a little bit about that and thinking, what do I do, if it really is got, can't open its eyelids, it's unlikely it's ever going to be able to feed itself. So I was a bit worried about that, but you can see, as I say from the clip, its eyes are now open. They don't look too bad. It is, it's clearly going to be a cinnamon looking at its eyes. So got those sort of plummy coloured eyes rather than the red eyes that we get with the Ino. So and it's developing well. I think it's going to be a grey. That's what it looks like to me, like a normal grey. So touch wood, we will get, whether it's going to be a grey yellow face like mum, I don't know. But we'll see how this one carries on developing, and hopefully we won't have we won't have any more disasters with this, or struggles with this particular chick. So that is cage number 5, but we're talking about the chick ring number 1 in there. So there we go, that's that cage. We'll move on to the final cage, which is cage number 6. So cage number 6, you may remember if you watched the last video, was a pair that we were going to split. It was a cinnamon grey green that I really wanted to get. It was a nice cockbird, and I really wanted to get something off it, and this was the second hen we put with him. There was he was chasing her around all over the place, but she was showing really no interest. And this hen is the opaline cinnamon sky blue that got the CC for me. So I was hoping this pair might produce something reasonable, some reasonable chicks, but no luck. I said I was going to be ruthless. This pair has now been split. Cockbird is now back in the flight, so he will be given a little bit of a rest, or some chance to exercise as well, get himself fit again. And we may find him another hen right at the end of the breeding season. This hen will come out, go back into the flight. I will keep an eye on her in the flight. If it looks like she's, in real condition and ready to go down, I may well find her another cage later on, again in the breeding season, probably with a different cockbird. So this cage will become available in about another week, a bit like cage. In fact, the cage above it, cage number 3, the one directly behind me, will become available in about another week. We'll give them a good clean the nest box out, and we'll find another pair, and we'll have a look at the 2 new pairs, probably in the very next episode. So that's all of the breeding cage breeding cage update done. There was another question came in from one of the subscribers, and it was about how often I clean the nest box out. So what I thought I'd do is talk a little bit about general nest box maintenance and how I maintain the nest boxes during the breeding season at the various stages of that. So we'll talk about that now. I hope you enjoyed that roundup of all the breeding cages. I said at the beginning of the episode, I was going to do a talk about nest box management, but I'm conscious now this episode is probably already at about 20 minutes. And if I was going to do justice to how I manage a nest box, it would take me a little while to do that. So I think what I would do is talk about that in the next episode, along with looking at a couple of new pairs. So I won't do the nest box management now. Like I say, I'll carry that forward to the next episode just to do it justice. However, the question that came in from Joanne, I think it was, around how often I clean my nest boxes out, I will very, very quickly answer that. It really does depend on the hen. So some hens are very messy. The vast majority of them keep the nest box relatively clean. Some hens, however, are very, very messy. And if you get a messy hen, you may need to clean the nest box out a bit more often than if you get a hen that most of the hens that are relatively clean. Now, normally, I won't clean the nest box out until I have run the last chick that's in there, because I find at that stage it's the chicks that are causing the mess. So I will, once I've run the last chick, I'll then clean the nest box and replace it with new bedding in there. I would only clean the nest box out, like I say, before that, if I get a very, very messy hen. So that's really about cleaning them out. So once the chicks have been run, I will clean the nest box. I'll talk about doing that in the next, how I do that in the next episode. Like I say, so I hope that answers the question about cleaning nest boxes out. Bearing in mind that I use bedding in my nest boxes, if you're using or just using the concave in there, you may need to clean that out or give that a clear out a little bit more often, just to get rid of any mess that's actually on the wood. You find that bedding will soak up a lot of the mess anyway. So there we go. Once again, thanks to all those people who hit the like button on the last video. Really grateful for that. And it does help the video in terms of how other people can find it. And I think we've seen that already from the number of new subscribers that we've got to the channel. So thanks to all those of you who have taken the time to subscribe. So I'll be grateful again if we can hit the 30 likes on this video. That would be most appreciated. But perhaps more importantly, be so safe and enjoy your day.